Hello and welcome to Leigh TV for this episode of Coach's Corner. Today we're joined by Super Statman Kieran Bryars, Head Coach Paul Wingfield and Head of Rugby Michael Jones. We'll speak to them about each department they're involved in. First of all we'll speak to Super Statman Kieran Bryars, that last week, well publicised by the club on all of our social media avenues, followed up a great play on this field from about halfway. Nathan Gaskell broke through down the right edge, beating about 4 men, going round the last man on the corner flag, and then as he's trailing towards the post in the in-goal area, up pops one and only Kieran Bryars to score his first try in his first appearance in 5 years. Kieran, what were you thinking when Nathan Gaskell stood right near the corner flag beating the final man? What was going through your mind? I must get to the post just in case he gets there.
You know, you always get taught for push up, so I thought I'd push up, knew where he was running. Obviously Gaskell pops up in front of sticks and offloads the ball to me with 4 points. Makes me inform prop of the club.
Prop. Nice, I like that.
What is it now, Kieran? One game, one try.
One game, one try, one MON, and I missed out a goal conversion.
Right, so talk us through your goal kick. Put the ball on the cone, right underneath the post. I bet your eyes lit up when I told you were kicking it.
I didn't put the ball on the cone.
Oh, is that what you're playing it on?
Andy Ball put the ball on the cone, told me I was kicking, but obviously me being me, didn't want to take the limelight away from the team's performance, so I thought I just missed the goal.
Oh nice, I like your style.
Took a leaf out of Paul Wingfield's boots, if you've ever seen him miss them a few times.
Oh. We will move on to you, Paul. Last week's game, Askham, first half, only 6-0 up. What were you thinking at half time?
That it was a very close game. We were 6-0 up. I thought we played really well. I watched the video this morning and I didn't realise how well we played actually.
So the second half started, 5 minutes into the second half, Askham score.
Yeah.
6-all, that made it quite a tough opening 5 minutes, but then 10 minutes into the second half we kind of got our acts together and sealed the game with 3 late tries. What were you thinking then, coming towards the final 10 minutes, knowing that you're 12 points up?
I was wondering if at some point we were going to start taking our chances, and we did do, fortunately. And then when we got in front, I think if we'd have played for another 10-15 minutes, so I think we could have scored another 20-30 points because we were really on top towards the end. We started completing our sets again in yardage. I thought we were dynamite. We just came off our line so quickly, kept cutting them up around the back of the ruck, and like I said, we just started finishing moves off, and it went really well for us for that spell.
Yeah, knowing before the game that Underbank had beat Featherstone, we knew going into that game on Saturday that if we did put on quite a decent performance and got the win, we'd move up to second. This week we go to Blackbrook. What are your thoughts on them?
A few weeks ago we got carried away with ourselves and we started talking about if we win this one or we win that one or we win our next 3 games or our next 4 games, and we kind of just lost our way a little bit. So what we do now is each week we just take each week as it comes. Askham was a big test on Saturday. Blackpool this week, we started obviously taking a look at them. I noticed that Sean Richardson was down watching us on Saturday, and it's going to be a really difficult game. They've got some good players, some quick players, 2 or 3 players who've scored a lot of tries. I think they're going to be a gritty team as well with Mark, who's the head coach. He loves to keep it tight around the ruck, make sure there's slow play the balls. I think it's going to be a really good contest between 2 good teams.
He's got every ingredient to be an umdinger of the game, as you say. Michael, we'll just go on to your under-18 side as your assistant coach down here as Kev Johnson. Last week you played Thatto Heath. He was on the good side of a 16-0 scoreline there. Do you want to talk us through the game, how that one went?
The game itself was, I suppose, a little bit one-sided as the scoreline suggests, but for us it was about going out there and doing the job, but doing it the right way. So spoke to the lads about our completion rate, making sure that we stuck to the structures that we've put in place this season, and not playing one-man rugby. There were a lot of opportunities for lads individually, but it was about making sure that we're practising and running against Thatto the way we would want to going into this week's game against Waterhead, which is a top 3 class, if you like.
You've spoke about taking quite a few individual chances. As a team this season, how have you been doing overall?
A little bit of an inconsistent season. I think under 18s itself brings a challenge anyway, with the fact that the lads have a lot of commitments and they're getting used to being under 18s and all the challenges that brings. But generally we've got a consistent group down training each week. We've had a few players back from pro clubs which are dual registered, which has added a little bit more direction to the team. But generally, the last 2 weeks, we picked up the wins. We let ourselves down a little bit at Blackborough with the second half performance, but dug in to get the win that we wanted to. That set up the performance and the result against Thatto, and then looking ahead, hopefully that's going to pick on then into this week as well.
And just with you liaising with Paul, how many lads have you got that could potentially take the step up to open age next season?
At this stage, we're probably looking around seven or eight lads. Usually, we want to retain every player we can at Leigh, but we realise that lads are going to go off to work, or they're either going to go to university and bringing them commitments, but it's making sure that they still have somewhere to come back. Ultimately, there will be a number of lads who are ready and do want to take that step straight into open age.
Paul, have you seen any of the under 18s that are due to step up next season? Have you been keeping an eye on a few and seeing where maybe they could fit in?
Yeah, at the start of the season we sat down and we said if any of the players wanted to step up this year or wanted to have a look at it, then Kev and Spud could obviously let me know. We've had a couple of training sessions together, haven't we, which have gone really well. And then all I've done is I've obviously left them in their capable hands, and we've just had general sort of weekly, monthly chats where just little updates on players, people have been coming back. Just on a couple of things there, the Centurions have been really good with us as well. We've re-signed or dual registered some players, and that's really added to the squad. And then only last week, as we approached sort of, if you like, the business end of the season, we sat down on it, so we had a chat on the phone and we were talking about 2 or 3 players that are going to step up next year, potentially really do some good stuff for us. But as Spud quite rightly said, the main emphasis for us is making sure that every player at the under 18s levels progresses this year, and if they're eligible for open age next year, they get a chance to step up and come with us. Any player that does go off and does other things, apprenticeships or college or university, we want to make sure that we keep in touch with them, so that if they ever want to come back, that channel is back towards us, because a lot of times these apprenticeships or scholarships, they're looking at the channels moving forward as opposed to coming back to where the mates are or the local club where they can just come down and obviously once they're old enough have a beer and a chat and the social side of it and get involved with us again. So we're looking at all those things.
Michael, one of your other roles within the club is head of rugby, as we explained before, and that covers all the junior coaches and how their development's going and making sure that everyone's doing the right thing within the club. How have you taken to that role of being like kind of an overhead to all coaches?
I'm really enjoying it, and I think that our coaches have really embraced what we're trying to do here. There has been changes, but we do realise that things, things take time to embed and to get them there. But progress is really good, and the coaches are actually acknowledging that, and they can see that the subtle differences that we've just brought in are making that impact. One of the biggest ones for us is in making sure that our retention rates are good because the children are enjoying the sessions, but we're also attracting new talent down to Leigh. In particular, our under 7s now have had to split into 2 separate teams because the numbers that they've gained have grown into 2 teams, which is massive for us. So we're really focused on not only the top end of the club, which we're aware we're doing well. There's still work to do, isn't there?
Yeah.
But we're also looking down at the grassroots as well, and realising that it's ultimately them under 7s that are here this year that could potentially go on to be our first team players in the future.
I think just on that as well, one thing that we've benefited from this year as an open age group is the talent that's come through. It's come through from the under 18s. There's a lot of players this year and they fitted in really, really well.
I think it was around about 11 lads, and they was allowed to go out and enjoy the success of being an under 18s player, but enjoyed the atmosphere. and you know, kicked on and moved up to open age. And the fact that there's so many lads who've come through the ranks together. We've already said on a number of times how young our open age team is.
Yeah.
But they just enjoy each other's company. They enjoy being there together, and that's because most of them have come through our, you know, our junior system.
I think our open age average age is around 26, which
I think it's slightly younger than that, isn't it?
no, but I think the only reason it's about 26 is because Leigh Rowley plays, Martin Roden plays, Craig Wingfield and you see, I think you're on the playing roster somewhere, so you might be included in that, as well as your brother Craig. So them 5 actually boost the average age up, but the core of the squad are all under 23, 24, which is really good looking forward long term. Just going back to yourself though, Michael, I know that I've sat in on different meetings that you've spoke to coaches about. Long term, I know that we've got each team's looking good for numbers now. Is there anything else that we could do to try and to build extra numbers or market the teams? Is there anything that we're looking at there?
We're very big at the minute on social media, and I think that obviously the success that we're having and the amount of positive work we're doing, I suppose, in the community markets yourself anyway, but it's about not being complacent. You know, we have put adverts out there and it has seemed to have an impact. But I think now there's actually more and more children going away and going to the mates at school and saying how much fun they're having down here. You know, it's a summer sport, the sun's shining, we've got fantastic facilities, you know, so, and the kids are going back to school and saying, listen, come down to Leigh. You know, I think our under 11s or under 10s as we stand started the season with something like 8 or 9 players, and now we're into up to around 17 or 18.
Fantastic.
So I mean, for that to happen, you know, there's a lot of positive work going on, but again, it's not sitting on the fence and waiting for the numbers to drop or to steady up. We want to keep driving the club forward.
Thanks guys, thanks for taking the time out to come down and speak to us on Leeds TV. We will be back next week as we take in and preview the Blackroot game, and then we'll look forward to next week's home game against Bradford Dudley Hill. Thanks again.